Okay, so hi everybody, welcome to the second weekly, where we'll see how issues 3 and 4 went. So Peter, I hand over to you to handle the demos.
Thank you. So for the demo, I think I've not been here the last few times, but I think it's more for the mentees to show up what they've got. And which of the team would like to go first?
I
We
think
don't
we
know
can
who we are
go.
pointing to.
Should we go?
Yeah. I think Christina and I can go first, and she can just run us through the quick intro, and I can show us what we worked on during the week. That's it.
Yeah. Debbie will share her screen, but I can start a little bit. So basically, our main goal this week was enabling the user to create a new list by clicking on a button on the home component. And if the user already has a token, will be redirected straight away to the list view. And if the user doesn't have any token, this will be generated by clicking on the button. So yeah, as you can see on Debbie's computer, they are actually our acceptance criteria. And the way we started was by importing the npm package, because by default we have a my test list token within the function in the app component, which we need to replace by null, because otherwise the users don't get automatically, so that the users don't get automatically subscribed to any list. And yeah, so that is why we downloaded the npm package, and we imported it on the top of the app component. And once this is done, the next step was creating a button on the home page, on the home component, so that the user can click on it. And and if it doesn't have a token, one will be generated, and as I mentioned before. So there we added simply the button with an event handler, which was actually a function called handle click. And then we pass this function to the app component, because there's where we have the rest of the things that we need to work on, as we will need to generate the token there. So I think, Debbie, you can go through this part yourself, the second part of our code, and show them.
Okay, yeah. So like Christina mentioned, our goal basically was to just allow the user to create a new list. And the way we implemented this was first by creating a function handler, a button first in the home component. And then we added a function that would basically work for the click. So the demo would look something like this. Yeah, so if I inspect here and I come onto the application part, you can see from here that I already have a token here. So the expected behavior that we're looking for is that if somebody already has a token, if they want to create a list, they can just click on this button and then they come to the smart shopping list page to create a list. So how we did that, 1 second, I'm just going to pull this over very quickly. Okay, yes, so from the home component, we added a button here, we added an on-click handler, which we put into our app.js component here. And here you can see from line 15 to 24, you can see the button. So what happens is that inside the button, we check first if we have a list token. So if a person does not have a token, then we generate a token for them using the npm package that is that comes basically with the task. And once that token is generated, we store that token to local storage. And then we use the setList token function to get that token. So that person now has one, and then they will be navigated to the list page to create a new list. But if somebody who already has a token just clicks on the list like I just did and showed you, and they already have a token, then they would automatically just get navigated to the list. So nothing else is added for them. There are no other frills, just straight boom to the list page. So yeah, that was how we're able to figure that out. Okay, any questions, comments?
I think it looks nice, and I'm glad to see it finally coming together, because I think earlier in the week there was a challenge with local storage, and
We got so stuck, yeah.
I'm happy to see you pull through on the end.
Yeah, Christina was so supportive, and we basically got on call every single day to talk about how much progress we were making, and it was wild, but we learned a lot. In fact, we even invented the wheel, because we were supposed to just use this. So we reinvented the wheel by using our own set item function, but I let that stay because I think, well, Gopher mentioned it's a really good learning opportunity to learn how to use set items. So I just left that there. So that in case we want to build anything else in the future, we can just take a cue from this and use for a future project. But yeah, it was quite something.
Yeah, and Debbie wrote a really nice article with one
Oh,
of
yeah.
the learnings, so that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
What? I need the link to that. That sounds amazing. Sounds like y'all
Yeah.
did some really good collaboration this week. I love to, in like hearing about sort of the edge cases that you solved for during this is really important things to think about that aren't always clearly laid out. So really great job. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much. The issue is that we had a very big, we ran into a very big bug with the use navigate hook, and we had no idea how to use it, but we were able to fix this by wrapping. So actually this was the issue, and we were supposed to just wrap our app here in a browser router. So that was how we were able to fix that. I wrote a very tiny article that I'm happy to share later, but yeah, that's what we achieved this week.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Thank you.
I also, sorry, Peter, did I interrupt?
No.
Yeah,
no,
sure.
go on.
Okay, great. I also want to add a great job, and I understand that this for you was something new, and you were now learning how to work on it, and you searched a lot and found solutions, so that was great. But I think in the demo, can you show me please again? I think it's not following the acceptance criteria 100%.
Oh yeah, sure, I can show you.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, when the user already has a token in local storage, they can see the create list button, if I understood correctly.
Yes, so if you come to home, you already have a token, you come here and then you click on this, you are just taken to the list page, but we have not merged yet, so we cannot really pull in anything else from the other team's work. So this is just our own part of the task.
Okay, because if according to the acceptance criteria, the user shouldn't be able to see the create list button if they already have a list. They should be taken directly to the list page. So they shouldn't, click on the button and go to the list page. So
I'm not sure I understand. If they don't already have a button. Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, because it means if they have a token in local storage, they already have a list. So it's
right.
It's kind of like if you go to a site and you click login. If you have already logged in the previous time, it shows you your settings and stuff like that. But if you're logging in for the first time, it asks you to create the settings.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about it afterwards.
For sure. Yeah, that's something I can add maybe after the demo, if that's still on the table.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the code review still needs to be done, so those can be clarified deeply.
All right, I'll just stop sharing now so the other team can go.
Any more questions for Deborah? Okay, then the other team who wants to present, Terry or Victoria?
So Victoria will go first. I'll present.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, everyone. So I must say this week's task has been really challenging, to be very honest. But so what we asked to do this week was to add a new item to the shopping list. So we were actually able to do a couple of things, but like when we got to the whole Firebase thing, it became difficult to decipher. And I've never really worked on Firebase. So even when Terry like said you got this, I kept on trying and trying, but thank God Terry figured it out much later. So what we did was to create a form for the add items. That's on our add item.js. Then we're able to add radio buttons and React hooks. We also added add item components, form inputs, and button components for the form elements. We also refactored the add item shopping list component, then export the form components and the button component. So we were also able to add display error if item is not saved to the database. So if you click on the search bar and the item, you didn't add any item on the search bar, it's going to like display an error message telling you that okay, the item is not yet saved to the database. So like I said, every other thing wasn't really that difficult apart from when we got to using the Firestore. So Terry, you can go ahead and share your screen, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So I had to solve this challenge just today. So it was like back and forth with Golfo and Patrick. So I can't really share my screen. I can't see the button to share my screen. Okay, I've seen it, sorry. Okay, let me just give me a moment. Okay, this and this. Sorry. Can you see my screen now? Okay, yeah. So thank you so much for this opportunity. So the task was just to add an item to the database, which is Firestore. So I'll just show you the demo on the live URL. So essentially, let me remove this stuff from my screen. Can't really see. So essentially, if you go to the add item page, so once you click, so essentially, what we were instructed to do is that whenever you click on this item name, which is supposed to have a 4 element and 4 attributes, it automatically highlights in the inputs search in the input field. So for instance, if I click on this item name, automatically it highlights this input field and you can start typing. And if you click on this button, it shows a pop-up that item needs to be filled, like you need to fill this form before you can submit anything to the database. So for instance, if I type, what should I type? Maybe dog trainer. So if I just type dog trainer and I click on this zone, so this zone estimates the next purchase date, which is 7, not zone 14 and kind of zone 30. So once I click on this, it shows me a pop-up telling me that this item, dog trainer, has been saved to the database. So once I click this button or press the enter key, it automatically like redirects me to this message telling me that this dog trainer has been saved to the database. Once I click on this button, or I click on the list navigation, on the link of the navigation of list, it automatically it takes me back to the list page. So once I click on this, it shows me the dog trainer, which has been saved automatically to the database, which is Firestore. Where is the dog trainer? Can you see it? So this is the dog trainer. So once I check my Firestore, so this is the Firestore database. So if I go through the list of this document here with the ID, so I think it will be on the first. So it's saved in the database, so I can't go through it one by one, but these are like when I was testing the products or testing the app, I had to save all these items to the database. And if you check it one by one, it's the same thing with what is on this page and what is on the app. So running through my code, so I had to like create 2 components, one for the form inputs and one for the button. So instead of making my code extremely long, so I had to break my code into components, different components. And when I started this project, I had to like identify the list token. The list token is the name of the database on Firestore, which is my test list. So I had to like pass a prop down to the add item component, which is this. And once I got this prop here, I now passed it as a child to this component, and I now had to bring it here as a parameter. So once I brought it here as a parameter, and what I did was on the Firebase file, it was stated that we should pass a function that would automatically like read what is on the Firestore database, and it will allow me to be able to like pass in various parameters like the list ID, the item name, and the days until next purchase. So this was what I actually like imported, this function here, which would allow me to connect to the Firestore database using my collection, which is the database and the list ID. So on doing this, I went back to the add item component, and I wrote all these functions, all this JSX, which is reading like HTML. So I had to like conditionally render this page that whenever there's a message, which when you go on this page, when you go to the list item page and you click on it, so when the message is true, and once you save your item to database, it shows the button and the message, which is the name of the item that has been saved to the database. And once this is valid, it shows this form, which I wrote as a ternary operator, using the ternary operator, which is the question mark and the colon. What again do I need to highlight? So I had to use the useStates hook and just pass in different states for the app. So I had to like passing an object for the list, which is the item name supposed to be blank when you start the app. So nothing should be primarily on the input field. It's supposed to be blank, which is empty. And the days until next purchase is supposed to be like a random figure, which is 7 for us, which is the soon. And from there, I had to like make sure that the default checks on the soon, there was a check mark on the first item, which is the soon here. So whenever someone saves an item here, it automatically like goes back to the initial state, which is the soon. So once you refresh this app, it will not highlight the not soon, but always be on the soon. So that was the instruction from the acceptance criteria. And yeah, I think that is just everything I have to do. I don't know if anybody has any question to ask, but this is the task that we were instructed to do, and I followed it step by step. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Nice to see you put through. How was the experience? Because I think you also had like challenges with Firestore in the beginning as well. So it looks like for all teams, there was a lot of learnings and enthusiasm this week.
Yeah, it was really, really tough. When Debbie chose the first task, item 3, I was like, okay, maybe mine is simple, but it was really like tough at the end of the day.
And how was the collaboration with Victoria? How did you both resolve the Firestore issues?
So Debbie and Victoria was not too like, she did not really know so much about Firestore. So I had to like tell her that I'll be the one to maybe write the code and just solve everything whilst you look through the code later once I'm done. So it was just like a support, because I know she's still learning about Firebase. So I had to like, since I'm someone that's maybe gotten a little bit of experience in Firestore, so I had to like give her a helping hand to just like help her through the process. I know she'll catch on a bit, but it's just a learning experience for her. But she was a lovely support throughout the week.
Yeah.
I wrote this in the chat, but for me too, like the Firebase learning curve was so intense, but it becomes such a powerful tool in spinning up new projects once you can get the hang of it. And so I think that working in this capacity too, where y'all will be touching this exact same code for weeks, is a really great way to sort of solidify those learnings and understandings. So great job with all the learning and being supportive. That's fantastic. Good work on this.
Thank you.
I also want to say you did a great job, and yeah, both you and the previous team, I like how you walk us through the whole, your whole progress in the whole week, and you just don't show us the result. I have some questions about on the code, but since we didn't do code reviews yet, probably I can ask them in a code review. But great job on finally making this work, and I see everything gets saved to the database.
Yeah, sure. Because I was like, how do I do this? Because I know I had to disturb you a lot, and yeah, I had to follow this acceptance criteria keenly, because I think that was just the major, those two, like saving to the Firestore and the estimate that I was really struggling with, and yeah.
Yeah, cool. Glad that you could pull through. Any other questions for Terry from the other team?
Okay, not to be that person, but I did not really have any questions. I just wanted to quickly mention that if we still have a bit of time, I just added the tiny functionality that Golfo mentioned, so that Christina doesn't have to worry about this later. And I'm happy to just showcase that, or just mention that in the code review, so we don't have to work on that too much later. Yeah, that's all.
Gonfo, what do you think about that?
First of all, you were very fast. I don't know if it's easy to show it. You can show it. You already have it in front of you.
Okay then. So yeah, I think somebody else is sharing. Okay, yes. So you mentioned that for when somebody already has a token, they should not be seeing that button again. So I added just a tiny bit of code here in the use effect, so that if somebody has a list token, then automatically they just move to the list page, list view. So I already have a token here, which you can see in local storage. So when I refresh and I try to go to home, I'm automatically moved on here. I'm still going to polish that a bit, but I just wanted to just highlight it very quickly so that we can gain some traction on that. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Stop share.
I love this. Okay, I'm gonna bounce so y'all can do your retro, but it was beautiful to see these demos. You guys have done an excellent job, and keep me in the loop if you need anything from me. I'm always here for any of you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stacy. Bye.
Take care. Bye, friends.
Bye. So I think I'll pass on to you, Godfo. I'm not sure if the retro comes before or after the issues part.
I was thinking we leave the retro for last, and
Okay.
first present the issues and assign teams, and then we move on to the retros.
All right. Then let me share. All right. So for the next issue for the next week is 5 and 6. And for 5, it says, as a user, I want to join an existing shopping list so I can share a shopping list with another person. And we want to be able to allow users to join a shopping list, like sharing with your family or friends. And the process would be you enter an already existing token in the form. I think similar to what was shown earlier, but instead of using the random token, you can use your friend's token and the token is saved to local storage, which I think it does now. I'm not sure if you would add something new, but then the list will be taken from the existing shopping list and shown to the user. And the acceptance criteria, home view shows a form that allows the user to enter a token to join an existing list. Okay, so it will be different. And the input accept a list of tokens with the semantic label, and the user can submit the form using the mouse or the enter key. And if the list exists, the token is saved and the user is redirected. If not, the user is shown an error message with an explanation for the problem. If they do already have that token, the user is automatically redirected to the list view. And a couple of things to note. Be sure to use the setlist token function to save the token that the user enters. You use the label correctly implemented. If you click on the label, the keyboard should focus on the related input. So similar to what Terry just showed us today, where you bind a label to an input, and when you click on the label, it would automatically focus on the input element attached to it. Users will be able to submit a form with the enter key if you listen for the right JavaScript event. You can assume that users will be sharing a token if the list has actual items on it. So let's say you create a new shopping list but never add any items to it and haven't saved that particular token to Firestore. We can assume that's a list that doesn't exist in that case because it's not saved to the Firestore. If you would like, you can save the token to Firestore immediately when creating a list, and then a user will be able to share an empty list. Was that clear? I think probably especially for this last 2 points. Any questions on this issue?
Nope.
Also, would you like to add anything to that?
No, thank you.
Then we go to the next issue. So as a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate items. So this one would be more of filtering your shopping list items. So like you have the item list, and you would in the end be able to create an input field where when you type for items to search for, while you type, the list will be automatically filtered based on the inputs being passed to it. And so we want to allow users to search through the list and cut through clutters and just focus on what they're actually looking for. And at the end, you want to have a form added to the top of the list, like it's shown here. And the form should include a text field with the label, which narrows the user type. And when there's a text in the field, when you have a text in the field, there should be some kind of button or text like an X at the end of the field where you can easily erase everything you have in the field. And when it's cleared, when you do that, it should reset the list to the unfiltered state, and you have all the items in the list. And while you type, you have items in it. A couple of notes. Same thing with the label. The label should be correctly implemented so that clicking on it focuses on the elements it's bound to. And the filters text should match any part of the item name. It should not match only from the start of the string. So any part of the string should be matched. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
For me, it's
then
clear.
I take cool. So I think now we can assign teams. I'm not sure how this goes. Godfrey, do you want to try to do this? But I don't know if they choose themselves or if we have to assign.
They choose themselves. You
Okay.
can see the teams in the project brief if you didn't check it. And if there are no volunteers, then you assign by yourself.
Oh,
For me, I'm
Pastor's finger.
number 6. I'm cool with number 6. So
Number 6. Then the other teams get the. And then how do you go for? How do they switch teams this time, or how do you do they do the pairing?
Let me see. It's in the. Let me check the project brief because it says the teams are there. And so this week there is going to be with Debbie, and Victoria and Christina will be together. And after the meeting, I'll create the threads like I did the previous week so people can collaborate.
Good job, Terry. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments on the issues before we move on?
Debbie, are you comfortable with number 6?
Ah, yes. Very comfortable, thank you.
I would hand over to you in case you have more stuff to add.
Nope, nothing more. We can move on to the retros. And this is going to be the first retro. Thank you very much, Peter, for handling demos and issues. And now I will share my screen. And you should be able to see the retro board. I don't know if you got the chance to review it one of these days. I see that some people already added cards. So you can see 4 columns. There's a kudos column, what went well column, what could be improved column, and the action items column. And in the first one, we say thank you to the other people in the team, mentors and collabs, for what we appreciate and what we liked. In the second one, we write what went well in the past 2 weeks. In the third one, we write what we could improve in the past, so our performance can be better in the coming weeks. And in the fourth column, we can set some action items. So after we discuss what could be improved, then we can set some specific actions that we can do in order to improve. Anybody have any questions on how we fill out the retros? So I guess not, and I will, yes?
So you just to click on the add item button, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you add a card, like here you type what you want, and then you press enter, and the card is added. The card is added.
So the kudos is essentially what exactly?
We say thank you and give shout outs. So if somebody helped you or you like something that somebody did, you can appreciate. I mean, it's a bit confusing. The kudos and what went well, they are a bit similar, but what went well is mostly what went well during the process. So we know to repeat this. So if we did something well in the past 2 weeks, we know to repeat this in the coming weeks. So we have a good result. And kudos is for specific people, like giving thanks maybe to a mentor, one of your teammates, something like that. And yeah, it's a good idea to add your name next to the card because it's not
how do
visible.
We edit? Can we edit?
Yep, you click and you can edit. So here, for example, you can click edit here.
Okay, sweet.
because the name isn't visible, so it's good if we add their names next to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
And
And-
sorry to interrupt. So when would it be? Well, oh goodness, when would be a great time to fill this up? Would that be like say after the weekly task, like maybe on Saturdays or Sundays before the weekly sync, or maybe any time during the week would be fine?
I mean, now I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes where we can add these.
Sweet.
But if somebody wants, they can add it before the weekly. So for
Okay.
example, I added mine before the weekly, but if somebody didn't have time, we can do it right now.
Okay. I think I'll just do mine now.
Okay,
Yeah, but
cool.
I think also if you can't do it before, it's more like there's a timer for you have, in this retro meetings where you fill out this form. So if you get busy and you don't have time to write anything in advance, you could also do it at that point.
Yeah. So now I'm going to start the timer. I'll stop sharing my screen, and in 10 minutes, let's get back together. So the 10 minutes are up. Did everybody have the chance to write what they want? Or does somebody need some more time?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm also good.
Same here.
Okay, so I will share the screen. And I tried to group people's cards together because now we will start reading them and each person will read their own card. So I can start with the kudos. Thanks to Patrick for his great presentations in our first weekly, and thanks to Peter for all his great insights and advice. And I like how you people even set up a meeting for technical writing. That was very awesome. And kudos to all the Collabs for trying their best and bringing some great energy to the team. So I like that everybody worked with each other and there wasn't any blaming or finger pointing or whatever. Everybody collaborated in a harmonious way. And special thanks to the people who came to my office hours and paired with me. I had some great conversations. And next is Debbie.
Yeah, so for my kudos, I wanted to just give a big shout out to Christina because it's collaborating with her is one of the best experiences that I've had since I joined the program. And it was really lovely to set some time aside in the evenings every day to just go through our task and just walk through issues. And I really loved that she had a great attitude to everything. And she did not let the bugs that we were running into get her down. And I had such an amazing time collabing with her. And I also wanted to just thank Stacy, who's not here anymore, for finding the time to just quickly drop in into our weekly sync. Yeah, so that's really all I have.
Thank you, Debbie. And next is Peter.
Yes, so for me, I think I really like the office hours from Golfo in the first week, and also I loved the collaboration I see, especially this week among the collabs on how how they're struggling and how they were able to pull through. I mean, I think that's like one amazing stuff that happens every day, and one should appreciate. You know, like if you don't really get time to learn and from your peers, then I mean, you just get stuck in one place. So it's amazing to see.
Thank you, Peter. Next is Terry.
Sorry, I had to lock my system. So what I wrote, okay, my first kudos goes to Peter for sharing. I attended the technical writing workshop he gave, though I didn't stay to the end because I had to go for a conference. It was great insight shared by him, and I really appreciate it. Though I've never had time to go through the video again because of the tasks during the week, because I had to devote time enough to solve the weekly challenge. And yeah, I really appreciate those, and I'll definitely take note from his great sharing that he presented. So the other one, I have to thank you, Golfo, and Patrick for giving out, spend some time during the week to maybe 1 hour, 2 hours of your time to just run with me and go. I just have to appreciate Golfo and Patrick for giving me their time to explain Firestore, because I was struggling a bit, and it really gave me this apprehension that, oh, is it that I'm not good enough or something like that? But I just have to persist and try to find out the answer just this morning, which is Sunday. And yeah, I really thank you so much. And I think this is just the beginning, and I'll continue to improve. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Next is Christina.
Yeah, I wanted to to thank my Collabis. So first of all, Terry, because yeah, we worked together on the first week, and it was yeah, my first experience working on a team. So it was really great, and I also learned quite a lot from him, like from his perspective, how we were looking at the com from two different perspectives, and he showed me some tricks, and also especially with the Firebase, because I have absolute no experience with it, so I learned how to check some stuff there. And yeah, also thanks to Debbie, because the second week was also amazing, and although we struggled and were stuck for a while with some of the things, it was always great to sync so often. And yeah, also just seeing a smile on the face changes everything on the issue. So thank you, thanks a lot for that. And I would also like to thank Peter, of course, because I had a lot of questions about technical writing, and he yeah, he dedicated some time to answer all the questions, and he made a recording. And yeah, in the end, like, it was a great meeting that other people could also join, and we learned a lot from him. So thanks so much for taking your time and inspire us with all the tips and tricks that you gave us.
Thank you very much, Christina. And next is Victoria.
Yeah, I want to say a big shout out to Patrick and Golfo for the assistance we got when we're struggling. Then I don't know, Terry was really it for me this week, because this is like a very broad project. I've never really worked on something as serious as this, and at some point I was beginning to like doubt what I can and can't do, but Terry just kept on telling me, okay, Vicky, you can do this. Just look at it this way and try it that way. So I'm really, really grateful for the support that I got from Terry this week, and I'm not taking it for granted. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. Wow, the kudos were very inspiring, and I like them a lot. So for the one went well in the first week, both teams breezed through the issues and gave really great demos of their work. This was also true for this week. In the second week, communication improved a lot, and there was a lot of interaction between Collabs and mentors. Also in the first week, I didn't write this so well. The energy among the teams was great, and the Collabs are curious, trying out new things and learning constantly. So next is Christina.
Yeah, in general, I would like to point out team collaboration and communication, because as I mentioned before, it was great, and I felt very comfortable all the time. Yeah, as it was completely new to me, so it was a very good experience. And the second one, also the spontaneous call that we had with you, Golfo, and also Terry joined, who was really great, because he was super curious to learn about what we were working on. So yeah, so accepting our call spontaneously to help us go through the issue was also amazing. So yeah, thank you also for that.
I think Christina. Next is Peter.
Yeah, so I think the team collaboration and communication and seeing them learning and supporting each other is something that I think really went great, and I'm happy to see that. So more of that, please.
Thank you, Peter. And Debbie.
Yeah, so I think for me, what really went well this week was that we were not really left in the sun to dry. And when we basically yelled for help in the team threads, we got some really amazing resources. I know that Golfo shared some amazing posts with us. I also know that Peter as well linked us to a course, and that was really helpful for me, because it pointed me to a very, very good YouTube video, which showed me how to fix the issue. So I really appreciate that. And I hope it's something that we can continue to get as well. Another thing I mentioned was that I loved how we all successfully pushed through very tough situations this week, because coding is pretty tough. And if you're doing it with somebody else, you know, you can you can have a couple of problems. So I really love that we just pushed through and we did not give up, and we were able to do all of our demos and we learned new things. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Next is Terry.
So for me, I want to thank every Collab, which my teammates for constant communication and syncing together when it was time to work together. So we allocate time from our busy schedule to just talk to each other and just work on the tasks. And yeah, for the resources shared by Golfo, Peter, I know about pre-serve course. I've done it in the past, I think one last year or 2 years ago. So yeah, it's a really great resource, and also the resources shared by Golfo too really helps. And yeah, just thank everybody for that.
Thank you, Terry. So the last card, was it yours or is it somebody else's? Because it doesn't have a name. Let me see who created it. Muhammad Coder, is that you, Victoria, I think?
Yes, sorry, I got to add my name.
No problem.
So
Mhm.
I'll just add my name to that.
Or you can just read the card.
Okay, so I see what stood out well for me was the way the mentors were able to come through for us, because I know that at some point I had to get in touch with some developers to just see how we can be able to work on the whole Firestore thing, and they didn't really come through for me. So I was just grateful that you guys were able to get us something that we're able to use to nip the issue at the board. That was it for me.
Thank you very much, Victoria. And now let's check what could be improved. So for me, I felt the code review process was a bit slow and not so well organized. And the merge requests were delayed in the second week. So we didn't follow our timeline. And let's discuss what we can improve and create some action items. About the timeline, so it's great if you try to keep a timeline, because code reviews also take some time. So let's say you start working on an issue on Monday. You should try to have it done not on Friday evening, because the code review won't take 5 minutes. Many times we fall in this trap. You have to think that it should be finished by Wednesday or Thursday, because then maybe the other team needs some time to review, and then there will be some back and forth, and you will need to make some changes, and then the mentors might also ask for changes. So you should expect that code reviews might take a day or two. And with that in mind, so you should try to keep that in mind. I know it's not always possible, and there are delays because of technical issues or maybe bugs or something, but it's a nice idea to keep this in mind. And let's discuss what we can improve and create some action items that we can follow. Next is Christina.
Yeah, mine is also very much related to what you said. So yeah, in this case, our pull request, I think, was made on Friday. I don't even remember. So yeah, it was a bit late, but this was especially because we were struggling, and then if I remember correctly, we were also we were asking for help, and due to also the time zone, it was not possible to make it on the day that we were working on it, and this got delayed. So yeah, in the end, it's right that we need to work a bit earlier on this, and also ask for help a bit earlier. And yeah, the same for the pull request, that I was a bit confused about the other team pull request, because in the end I was just checking on GitHub if it was done or not, and I was not seeing it, so I was a bit confused by that. And then I saw it this morning, and of course, at that point I was not at home, so I couldn't review it so fast. So yeah, I would also appreciate it if I could have a bit more of time to to review others' work.
Thank you, Christina. The next card is mine, that expectations may need to be communicated more clearly. So maybe it's not communicated very well, the process exactly. of what needs to be done each week. So all of the steps. So maybe that's something we can work on and see how we can communicate it. Next is Debbie.
For that one, do you mean the issues and the acceptance criteria? Or what exactly do you mean?
I mostly mean the process of how the Collab should work throughout the week, but it can also be this, that maybe this also needs to be improved. Thank you, Peter. Next is Debbie.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that concerning what could be better polished, I would say that code reviews could be faster because for one, Christina and I were able to get somewhere stable, I think around Thursday, but we're not able to move forward from there because we did not get any review. And I made the mistake of contacting Peter, and then he mentioned that, oh, the other team actually has to do this first. So we had to wait an extra couple of days to get that. And by the time we've still not gotten a review by now. So things were just a little bit slower in the pipeline this week. And I would just love for us to just fasten these things up. But I think for us Collabis as well, I think that we should probably try to adhere to like a stricter timeline. For instance, if we're able to finish our issues by Thursday, that would allow people, in the other team and the mentors as well, to be able to provide insights to what could be improved in our code. And this would also help us circumnavigate the whole time zone thing. So maybe we do need to work faster. And yeah, aside from that, I also think that the acceptance criteria could be made a little clearer because I did not understand at all that if somebody had a token, they did not really need to see that button again. And it was something I was scrambling to just add during the call. So I would really love for the criteria to just be very dead simple, like really idiot simple and idiot friendly. Yeah, that'll be great.
I think Debbie. Next is Terry.
Okay, cool. So I wrote two. So the first is, so I agree with what everybody has said about the code reviews. Yeah, it was a bit slow from my own end. Due to the fact that once I'm on a certain project and I've not solved that particular issue, I tend to work and work and work till I find a solution to it. So yeah, it's on my own part. I take the blame, or if I can say so, but I hope to improve on it and just like spare, even though it's 20-30 minutes a day, and just like solve it after the pull request from the other team. Yeah, so I tend to improve on that. The second is, so I contacted Go about the acceptance criteria because I understood it, but then it was not so clear. So it mentioned on my week 2 task, so it mentioned the add item and the components. I was like a bit confused which of the pages am I meant to work on. So yeah, but I'd already like started on the add item, which was only appropriate for me to continue till when Gofo clarified and she told me, oh, you can continue with the add item component. Yeah, so I just think that everything should be checked maybe by the mentors and just like maybe adjust if you think that maybe the acceptance criteria is meant to be improved on, just improve it before maybe Tuesday latest, and just like, yeah, that should be what I have to say.
Thank you, Terry. Next is Victoria.
Yes, I also had issues with the acceptance criteria. So I feel it could be made more clearer, just like Debbie said, because I had some issues even trying to understand what is supposed to be accepted, or the way I'm supposed to like structure the code and all that. So if we're able to like just make it a little bit, as if I'm in kindergarten, I don't know. But like I think that works.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Next is Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Gofo. My first card is somewhat similar to what you all mentioned, which I think most of it heavily relies on communication. And if by Friday you say the acceptance criteria is not clear, then it means probably there's something, either the questions are not being asked early or not, because this gets read to you at the beginning of the weekly, and questions are being asked if it's clear. And you can also go through them before the weekly and clarify stuff in the meeting. Another opportunity as well is also during the week, but then you don't get to, if it has to be on Friday that you say it's not clear, then it's also, you should also think, okay, this should also be part of me if I feel like this is not comprehensible, so it helps the whole system to be better and faster if you don't spot things on during the weekly sync or before the weekly sync, but then while you work on it, you have questions, maybe on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But if you let it be on the deadline where you're supposed to be done, and you ask, if I'm a manager, I would assume that you didn't do your work or you didn't do your due diligence, and it's now when you're supposed to submit. So I would really like to see you question being asked early, and so that they are clarified on the spot, and not maybe you feel it's not clear and then you don't see anything. I would assume it's clear. Then also, I forgot the other part I wanted to mention. I think it was something about the people, but I'll come back to it when I remember. Also, a part of the communication I'd like to see is with the pull requests, like the whole pull requests and code review part. I've seen a few PRs that when I look at the titles alone, I don't understand if they are actually open by mistake or if they were intentional, because maybe they don't have specific stuff. So I saw this with, I think it was with the pull request opened by Terry this week, and also last week. It starts with like VE and TE, and it wasn't clear when I read it what the pull request is actually meant to do. So it will be nice for pull request titles to be clear. You can also copy the part of the titles from the issues and adapt it to what you have for your pull request titles. We also have like a template for the pull request. So there's a template which I think would be used to make these things better. So in general, getting things improving that way. And also I think in interaction this week, from what I see, it's better, but I would like to see more. A background is like we work in a distributed teams, and everyone just work remotely and asynchronously, and communication is a very big thing, unlike in the office where you go to the office and you see each other and you talk and you know what the other person is up to. Here you don't see each other and you don't know what the other person is, and it's easy to assume maybe the other person is on vacation or not doing anything because you don't get to see more interactions. So I would really like to see this interactions between the pairs, like how you are deciding on what time, how you are progressing through stuff. If you can have them on the Slack channel or in your thread, it will be easier for us to also just check in and see, oh, this is how far they've gotten. If we see you are having issue, we could even step in before you ask the question. But if we don't know what's happening, it's hard for us to be able to help you when we can't see. For some weeks, I mostly see, most of the interaction I see is either Terry or Christina. And at some point I was wondering, okay, if Victoria was still available or working on some stuff, because I wasn't seeing interaction from Slack, and on the pull request, she wasn't the one opening it or reviewing. So I wasn't clear what was happening in that situation. So I would like to see more of this conversation rather than happening in DMs, happening in the threads, and we can all pull through and see what the other persons are working on. For example, the technical writing stuff that happened, it was supposed to be just me and Christina, but I thought, oh, probably the others would benefit, and we made this public. And this is we all saw how this was beneficial to the rest of the team. So if we can try to also like have this other forms of communication, not all, some things could be private, but like in terms of your work, we want to be able to know that you are making good progress and can step in where we need to.
So sorry, can I just say something?
Yeah, go
Um, for the title of our pull request, is it pull request? For the title
Yeah.
of what we work on, so the VE and the TE, just like the acronyms of our names. And like for this week, so Victoria, her surname VE. I don't know if it's a Okafor or Emoka. So I put my TE and I just add new item to shopping list. So essentially I just like copied the name of the issue and just like added it in front of the two abbreviations of our name or acronyms. Yeah, I just added it. That's how we came up, or we come up with titles. I don't know.
I'm not sure if that's the format for this stuff, but I think one way could be just make your title clear, and then you can put at the end of the issues the names. But also you don't need to put the names at the title or the description. In the pull request section, you have the reviewers and the assignees. So when you open the pull request, you assign it to yourself and your teammates. That way you know who is working on it. Then you add the other pairs who are the reviewers and they review your code. And also you add the mentors as the reviewers. That way it's clear from looking at it that it's being worked on, it's or the people responsible for that task is the two people assigned to it, rather than having V. For me, I was really confused when I saw those in it. Also, like for some pull requests, there's a template and you have like this before and after screenshots and testing guidelines. Sometimes I've seen it skipped, and if they are there, it really helps with the review process, and that way I think you make it easier for whoever is reviewing to have enough context for your task. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much, Peter, for being super analytic about the code review process. So from what I've gathered, what could be improved is that the acceptance criteria sometimes are unclear, and the code review process also needs to be more clear. For the acceptance criteria, I agree with Peter that if questions aren't asked, as Peter said, we assume that everything is going okay, and you understand it perfectly. So maybe you need to be more proactive in asking the questions. So on Monday and Tuesday, I can add this as an action item, that by Monday, everybody understands the acceptance criteria perfectly, or as good as possible. Because I know sometimes some questions might pop, but I mean, I guess first you should visualize, like when you start a project, you should visualize what the end result needs to be, and then start working on the code. Because if you start working on the code right away, you miss the bigger picture. You get focused too much on the technical details. And as good as possible, and asks any clarifying questions if needed. And also about the code review process. So for me as a mentor, it wasn't so clear when I was supposed to review. So I didn't get a clear message. I mean, I asked people if everything is okay, but again, it wasn't so clear. I'm not sure if the collab is among you, you understood when you should code review. And as you said, because the communication is async and there are time differences, etc. So it's a nice idea to remind somebody. So ask them for a code review. If you see that hours have passed over a day and they haven't done the code review, you can again remind them. So because maybe they forgot or something. And it's also great, it's not always possible, if somebody asks you for something, you tell them that you will do it on that date. So somebody asks you for code review, you tell them, okay, I will do it tonight. And it's not always easy to estimate, and we're not always perfect, but it would be awesome to give such estimations. So for this, how to improve the code review process? As I said, I think it's a nice idea that everything should be, let me add something. Everything.
For the code review to be done faster, I like to help you understand that 50% of the tasks of your job responsibility in a team is code review. So when you work, you have to imagine that you have 50% of time to implement something on your own, and you have 50% of time to review other people's code. That's why you are on a team, because you can tell from this week where no one was able to review anybody's work, so nothing was made. So if you focus alone on your own part, you won't be able to. You have to be able to balance between when you do your work and when you do the other. And you also have like a team of two. So if we are in a situation where we are getting to the deadline where things needs to be made, then you can have one person from the team investigating that particular issue, and you can review his pull request when it's done, but then the other person can focus on reviewing the other team's pull request when it gets to when it's like a Thursday or Friday. Because for me, ideally, by Wednesday you should have your pull request open, and if possible, have it reviewed by your peers, so that by Thursday, you have the mentors also reviewing, because you would always have like a back and forth. Someone, you will likely have something that needs to be changed from your pull request. People will leave a couple of comments, so you have to give yourself time. So like Thursday, Friday to get review comments and update your code, and so you try to aim to finish on Wednesday. And I think with that approach, if you go through all the acceptance criteria, you will be able, even if you can't understand, or you think you understood everything on a Monday, you can still freely ask questions about it on a Tuesday, because you are working on it. And then you have them open on Wednesday, and whatever is not clear can be clarified on the pull request. That's where like a lot of these interactions happen, and things become much more better and clearer.
Thank you very much, Peter. You described how a real team would work, so how a real professional team would work. And since in professional teams there's a lot of focus on deadlines, it's good, and I think Terry mentioned it somewhere, that it's good to ask for help early and not spend a lot of time alone to try to fix an issue. So if you have problems, it's better to ask a question, even if you figure it out. Even if you figure it out 5 minutes later, it's better to ask the question, and somebody will help, either mentors or other people in the Slack channel. So that's really great. I added some action items. Does anybody want to suggest something extra we need to do? Because I suggest that by Monday, everybody understands the acceptance criteria as good as possible and asks any clarifying questions, or as Peter said, by Tuesday, that you've worked a bit on the code. And everything should be ready for code review by peers by Wednesday, and ready for mentors to code review on Thursday. So I think if we do this, we will improve our process a lot.
Yeah.
I also, sorry, go on, Terry.
So I agree. So like I've taken note of everything that Peter has mentioned. So I think I didn't really I've not been assigning myself and maybe my teammates, but I just did that now for the tasks I worked on, I and Victoria. So, and I've also done that for I and Debbie this week. So yeah, I think I'm noting them down.
Good, thank you, Terry. And Peter, I think you want to say something.
Yeah, and each time I think I just keep smiling. I'm not sure what's wrong today. So for the code review, I had a couple of ideas. So like to get it done, which you mentioned, like having it ready by Wednesday, and also like if you have a point where you see your peers as has a pull request open on Tuesday or Wednesday, if you have, you can set like an hour or two to review their work before you continue with yours. You know, I'm not sure how many hours you dedicate to it in a day, but probably set aside like a 20 minutes, 20% of your time for that day to review their work before you continue yours, because most likely you would have feedback for them to improve, so that they will be able to carry on with their work, and you, after like an hour or two of reviewing, you can continue with yours. And probably when they are done and you ask them for review, it also makes it faster for them to look at your work than when you are done. And then that's when you review. They will take their own time to look, take actions on your comment before they come back to you. Now it's now both of you are waiting on each other. But then when you have a way of dedicating time for both teams, you know, it helps you both move at the pace where there's no blockers. And if you get to a point like this week, that one person could focus on reviewing and one person focuses on improvement. So that could be like one point, like you can split the task when you get to a tricky situation like this week, and one person focuses on debugging the issues. I think also with the acceptance criteria, when you are stuck, you know, I think an action item would be to always ask question early. You know, don't be shy to ask clarifying question. So after you ask for question, but you can also open a draft pull request. So when you open a draft pull request, you can share it with someone from the other team or a mentor and say, oh, this is where you are, but we are stuck. Can we have like a pair programming session together to figure out what's not working and what needs to work, you know, because everyone, I think, either has something they are dedicated to. So if you're able to ask early, people could schedule like a time to attend to your question ahead of time, because we are not like, this is not our full-time job and we need to be able to plan. So doing that early would really help.
Okay, so I'll add so people can
plan
schedule, yeah,
moment. Yeah.
plan accordingly. Thank you very much. I agree with everything you said, and especially the part about thinking how to make code reviews more efficient, and that it actually makes you move faster if you stop your work for a bit to code review the other team's work, because you don't want to let, like when you work, the worst thing is sitting around waiting for something. That's the worst thing, either you or your teammates. And so if people can unblock each other and everybody can always work, that's very efficient and productive, and it's what we want the most. Okay, so that's it. The Slack channel is always open, and thank you very much for everybody's insights on the retro. And I like that we really did a lot in the past 2 weeks, like from all the talking, it shows that a lot of things went on. And I'm looking very much forward to the next week and all of the coming ones. And this week, Peter will be having office hours and doing code reviews. So thank you very much, and see you on Slack.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.